Hello everyone and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today wherever you are in this great world. We're going to talk a little bit about XRP, but I'm going to point out what I think is actually going on. It looks like a perfect storm is forming to bring on the new financial system. And I'm going to show you why in this video. So difference is Bitcoin was created post 2008 recession. In its existence, it has never faced a macro environment like the one we are in. In fact, Bitcoin has existed only in an environment of recovery. It has faced adversity multiple times, but never like this. Regardless, I am loading up. You know, on X, I keep seeing people saying, Bitcoin loves recession, bring on the recession, but they don't know what they're talking about. First off, we don't even know how Bitcoin would react inside of a recession. We don't know how XRP would react to a recession. I would think XRP would hold up better because we are going to see a lot of things happen inside of recession this time around that we didn't see last time around. But I'm not 100% sure. Nobody is, because we didn't have crypto back in 2008. U.S. Fed governor says possible soft landing will not occur. Now, me personally, I think Jerome Powell knew the second he cut rates, we were going to go into a recession. And he knew there was going to be no soft landing. Many economists and economic advisors have argued for the Fed to cut rates for months to avoid significant damage to the labor market and, in the worst case, a recession. But you know what caused Jerome Powell to cut rates this time around? I think it was political pressure. You even had Elizabeth Warren calling for a rate cut right before Jerome Powell cut rates, because we are in an election year. So he said, the hell with it. I'm going to cut rates and let's see what happens. Now, the one thing that's going to really factor in on crypto is when the recession starts and how quick the recession moves. In other words, how deep do we go into recession early on? I'll talk about that as well. So then there's the Psalm roll. It has been triggered. The Psalm roll is an early recession indicator. As of today, it had been triggered. Since 1950, the Psalm roll has indicated only one false positive in 1959. And even then, 6 months later, the U.S. had entered a recession. So the origin of the Psalm roll. The Psalm roll, developed by economist Claudius Psalm, serves as an early recession indicator by monitoring changes in the unemployment rate. It identifies a recession when the 3-month moving average of the national unemployment rate rises by at least 0.5 percentage points from its low during the previous 12 months. The rule leverages data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics and is notable for its simplicity and accuracy. So if this rule was triggered, you could bet we're going into a recession. People would say we were in a recession for months now, but it's going to get much worse in my opinion. What the Fed's rate cut means for Bitcoin. So this comes from Forbes. For Bitcoin, the 50 BPS cut sends mixed signals. Historically, rate cuts have been positive for hard assets like Bitcoin, as such cuts are inflationary, leading capital to find its way into assets that can serve as a store of value. But this rate cut doesn't feel like a traditional monetary easing. Rather, it's a borderline emergency response to growing economic instability. If the markets interpret this cut as a sign that the U.S. economy is in deeper trouble than anticipated, Bitcoin could be caught in a risk-off sell-off. And I think that's what's going to happen with Bitcoin. But I don't think it's going to happen right away. And in fact, I think it could happen once this cycle plays out. I'll talk about that more at the end of this video. But a lot of things are happening now in 2024 that weren't happening in 2008. And the economy was in better shape in 2008 than it is here in 2024. So as the US and NATO aggressively weaponize the dollar, pushing the West towards isolation, XRP's role in international trade settlements grows even more critical. As BRICS nations embrace gold-backed currencies, XRP stands ready to bridge the gap in international transactions. Take a listen to this.
All we have to do is look at BRICS. And BRICS controls at least 40% of the gold in the world, and they're talking about going to another currency inside BRICS that excludes us that will be based on gold, at least partially, if not completely. All of these things seem to be moving in parallel: economic, political, and military. Everyone is divorcing themselves from the United States and Israel.
So all these countries are turning their back on the United States. 134 countries explore digital currencies. US dollar is in jeopardy. We did not have this going on back in 2008. And this is going to continue to weaken the US dollar along the way. Then there's this, the banks. Warren Buffett has dumped billions worth of Bank of America stock, and the CEO doesn't know why. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway has sold billions worth of Bank of America shares. Why the legendary investor is dumping the bank stock remains a mystery, even to the CEO, Brian Moynihan. So we know Warren Buffett has been dumping bank stock, and he's going back into cash. And if you talk to anybody that has money, I'm talking about anybody that made millions of dollars, they're all also pushing towards gold and silver if they don't like crypto right now. Bank shutdowns escalating. By October 1st, banks are required to comply with Basel III regulations. After this date, U.S. Treasury bonds will no longer qualify as collateral under Basel III. So remember those T-bonds that I talked about in that previous video? They're no longer going to qualify as collateral. So there goes Tether, because Tether's holding a shit ton of T-bills as well. And I think the reason that they're tokenizing T-bills is because they need someone to buy them up, because they're buying the U.S. debt. But the banks are closing branches in 2024 because they're getting rid of the brick and mortar. The banks know we're going into the digital age. There's no longer a need to have a bank, in every single town across the country. But Basel III, we did not have back in '08 either. This could bring on a lot of liquidity problems and a lot of bank closures as well. And what's part of the Great Reset? Consolidation of the banks. Take all the little banks and consolidate them into a handful of big banks. This way it's easier to transition into a CBDC. Then there's the DXY. DXY primed for my target towards sub 100. Bullish for crypto. There is no strong dollar going forward unless we have already rolled over in a recession, going much lower before the trend reverses. And here's what the DXY looks like today. And it's been gradually falling off a cliff for a while. So expect the DXY to continue falling into recession while we're starting to see banks have liquidity problems, possible liquidity crisis. Take that and put it together with BRICS coming for the US dollar as well. It's creating the perfect storm inside of a recession. And what's going to be the US's answer to all of this happening all at the same time? All of a sudden, we push into the digital age. We push towards crypto, something like XRP that can bring on-demand liquidity. Because once the banks start collapsing, there's not going to be bail-ins this time around, or bailouts. we're going to push into bail-ins, and it's going to be a very rough time ahead. Rate cuts are bullish if recession can be avoided. If a recession can be delayed to late 2025, that would line up perfectly with the Bitcoin 4-year cycle. So if they could delay the recession long enough, this crypto cycle will play out like a normal cycle. You could also expect a decent run-up for Bitcoin. I'm expecting 100K plus. Most likely somewhere between $100,000 to $120,000 for Bitcoin. I'm still expecting XRP to reach $27 plus in this next run. But it's only if we could hold off recession. Now, what's going to also happen along the way? ISO is also going to go live. We've never seen the things that are about to happen going forward in crypto before, because we're on the verge of utility driving cryptocurrencies like XRP, XLM, XDC. At the same time, the US is facing the biggest problems we have ever seen inside the United States. A collapsing dollar, the BRICS looking to go fully gold back with their currencies. The US is going to have an answer to that. At the same time, inflation's going to be skyrocketing as well. It's going to be a crazy, hectic time. We don't know how XRP is going to perform. We don't know what's going to happen. Utility is going to be the driver here that we're going to have to keep the closest eye on. Because honestly, and then you have Ripple's RLUSD going live in the midst of this as well. And crypto regulations on the way, stablecoin regulations on the way, central bank digital currencies still being talked about. I think the US is already ready with a digital dollar, because that's already been talked about behind closed doors with Jerome Powell and the Treasury and this administration. And then we're still in an election cycle at the same time. Do you see what I'm saying? We don't really know the path forward yet, but I definitely want to know what your thoughts are, because I know I'm not 100% right on any of this. Nobody out there can call what's about to happen. There's way too much uncertainty is what I'm showing you. A perfect storm into the digital age and a new financial system, a recession that could possibly slow down the crypto space and this 4-year run that we're still in. And who knows what's going to happen with inflation, unemployment, UBI. This sets up for UBI. I mean, this is probably the most confused I've ever been in a video. And I definitely want to know all of your thoughts. So definitely put it in the comments section down below. And with that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.